Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High Yah. This is truly the day that Yah has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. I do hope that you are well and that you are still trusting only in Yah. For the last few days, there's been something on my mind, and I just need to speak it. It's been in my spirit, so I want to speak it. I had to give salutations to the Most High because He's worthy. But my intention was to just come on here and just go straight to what I wanted to say. But I must give the Father praise because He's good, always good. He alone is worthy. So if you're going to big up anyone, if you're going to brag on anyone, if you are going to boast in anyone, let it be Yah. Because only Yah is worthy to be praised. And I give the Father thanks and praise to the Most High because He is wonderful, He's patient, He's loving, and He's kind. He is long-suffering towards us. He is long-suffering towards us. Hallelujah, excuse me. So, getting to what I wanted to talk with you about, and I spoke, I believe, about this before. I may have mentioned it, but I want to dedicate this video to this topic. Too many of our leaders are pedophiles. I could just leave it as that. I want to wake your consciousness to your awareness to this. Because we as a people seem that we want to act oblivious, like we don't see and realize what is going on. I want to draw your attention to the realization, or I want to cause you to realize that our leaders, and I'm talking specifically in the Bahamas because I only know about the leaders in the Bahamas, but if we look at what's happening worldwide, we can extend it worldwide. But I'm going to focus right now on the Bahamas. But let me say why we can extend it worldwide. I saw a post on Facebook, I think last year, of one particular state, and they were saying that in that state, in the last month, over 100 children went missing. Now, for so many children to be going missing without a trace, for the child trafficking, sex trafficking business to be so prevalent, so lucrative, so world spread, our leaders have to be pedophiles. And as a people, we need to wake up and stop being so drunk on this political Kool-Aid and start calling these people out for who they are. Some people are so in love with their politicians and their religious leaders, their civic leaders. These people in their eyes can do no wrong, but these are the ones who are enacting laws that are taking your children away from you. And if you are not, if you don't wake up, sooner or later they're going to have full access to your children. Now, let me go to the beginning. When I was a little girl, I remember the legal age to be an adult was 21. You had to be 21 to vote, 21 to get a driver's license, 21 to drink. You had to be 21, I guess, to legally have sex. 21, and of course, nobody was waiting that long, but that was the legal age of an adult. To say that you're an adult now, you had to be 21. I remember I was in high school when the legal age was reduced to 18. And I remember it being said, oh, that's because they won votes. They won votes because it was wrong election time or going into election, and they reduced the legal age to 18, so more young people were able to vote. Right? I remember a few years ago when, very recent and few years, I think less than 5 years ago, when we became aware that the age of sexual consent was reduced to 16. And everyone was wondering who did it, when, how. 16? Who gave a child permission or authority to consent to sex? And I say a child because the legal age, according to the law, children between the ages, individuals between the ages of 0 and 18 are considered children. So, someone decided that 16 years, a child 16 years of age, 16 years old, were mature enough to consent for sex. Now, this same 16-year-old child is not mature enough to get a bank account. They are not mature enough to go to the doctor by themselves. They can't do anything by themselves other than consent for sex. A child 16 years old. I made a post recently on Facebook saying that the leader, whichever one it was, whichever prime minister it was, that changed the law to give a child 16 years old authority to consent to sex is a pedophile. That's the mindset of a pedophile. They wanted to be able to sleep with children legally, so they decided that 16 years old. Now these same persons, just how they reduced the age of sexual consent to 16 and nobody knew, they didn't ask no question. People can be sitting right down when they reduce it to 14 or 12 because these people coming for your children. You understand? Take note of how many children are going missing daily. You understand? I've said it before. It is very concerning to me because I don't know how many persons concerned, people concerned, but it's concerning to me that you have to advocate and go and demonstrate in order for the elected legislators to make, amend, enact, change laws that's going to protect children. Laws are supposed to change with a growing society. And so if you see something becomes a trend that is going to cause havoc or is causing harm to people, laws are supposed to be enacted. A law is supposed to be legislated or written and acted, whatever they call it, to make that situation, to make that behavior a crime. So when you see grown people are now desiring children, it's been going on for a while. Because right now in the Bahamas, it's like it's a part of the culture. Everybody know that pedophilia, they don't call it that, but I want you to get that word in your consciousness, because an adult who have sexual tendencies, desires for a child, whether it's a male or female child, that's a pedophile. You understand? And so we've been aware of that a long time, that in our society, in our communities, there are many grown adults, male and females, because the females are not innocent, that have been molesting raping children. You understand? And they are going to try and make this thing legal. And if you adults, parents, don't wake up and become aware and take note of what's happening, you can be sitting right there loving on your political leaders and loving on your religious leaders while they come in your house and take your children to go and rape them legally. They didn't reduce the adult age to 16. A child is still, an individual is still considered a child at 17. My son, who is 17 years old, when we traveled recently, when he was going through the security checkpoint, I guess there was alarm because he was wearing jewelry. And I saw when the officer, whoever was speaking to him, and he pointed to me and they indicated for me to come over. And when I went over, the officer said to me, I have to pen him down, and he showed me where I'm going to have to pen him down. And I said, okay, I had to be there while he couldn't touch my 17-year-old son because he's still a child unless I was there. When we went into the museum, because he's 17, a child, he didn't have to pay. My 17-year-old son, I took him to the bank, went to the bank to make an appointment. And because he's 17, I would have to sign on a bank account for him. You understand? But that same 17-year-old child, and before I get there, when he went to do his medical to go into college, I had to be in the doctor's office because he's 17, a child. But that same child, 17-year-old child, can consent to sex without my permission, without me knowing. And if something happened, they would say, oh, he's 16. That's the age of consent. But to be an adult, you have to be 18. I want y'all to take note of this. I want you to think about that. You are not considered an adult until you're 18. But at 16, you can let some grown, perverted, nasty dog, male or female dog, have sex with you. When I made the post on Facebook, I made a post saying that anyone who was having sexual experiences or sexual intercourse with an individual between the age of 0 to 18, you are a pedophile. One Facebook mysterious person, because people trying to figure out if there's a male or a female, their question was, what is the age of consent? And I said, just look at that twisted mind. You understand me? The question was, what is the age of consent? I want y'all to hear this. Because you see, if the age of consent was 12, then come sleep with your child, 12-year-old child. But that same 12-year-old child is not an adult until 18. And when that particular person asked a question, I said, yeah, you're nothing but a pedophile. That's why I went back and I made the post saying the leader who changed the law to give children, a 16-year-old child. I didn't respond to the comments. They made all kind of comments on the post and I didn't respond to none. You understand me? Because I don't post to respond on Facebook. I respond to say what's on my mind. But I made another post and I shared this in different groups. That leader who changed the law to give a 16-year-old child authority to consent to sex is a pedophile. Our leaders are pedophiles because you have had to have been desiring to sleep with a child, 16-year-olds, in order for you to go in and secretly amongst themselves, agree to change that law with no one knowing. Only them know. And then when a situation arose and the announcement by the authority was, well, the age of consent is 16. I was like, well, when happened? When that change? When did that change? You understand? And so that is an indication that our leaders are pedophiles. Our leaders, too many of them, are pedophiles. And as parents, you need to wake up. You need to wake up and stop acting giddy. And stop looking around and saying, well, it ain't my house, and because it's not happening in your house, or you don't know it's happening in your house, it doesn't concern you. Pedophilia is on the rise, and I believe that these perverted leaders who have to know and who are aware, they have to be aware of this sex trafficking ring, because it's just growing. More and more children are disappearing. And notice it's not talked about in the mainstream media. Something is wrong with that. Something is very wrong with that. And because the general public is sitting down silent, there's no outcry. No one is questioning anything. Because everything appears to be okay in your home. We have to change that mindset, because it's that mindset that is giving power to the enemy. They say, evil prevails and good minds do nothing. Silence gives consent. These political leaders and these religious leaders love to see a divided people. That's how they conquer. And we have this knack, this bad attitude of blaming children for the adults. In the law in the Bahamas, a child is not raped. The adult would have had unlawful sexual intercourse, and it doesn't carry the same penalty as rape. I attended a protest last Tuesday, which was poorly turned out as usual, because I think a man, he was over 30 anyway, would have had sex with a 13-year-old child and was given a 2-year sentence. The organizer of the demonstration went to a talk show, and they read the article. The host of the talk show read the article, and the host commented that the article read as if they wanted you to be angry at the victim and sympathetic towards the pedophile, the sex predator. In that same article, there was a story of how a woman, now the 13-year-old was not raped. The man had unlawful sexual intercourse with the child. But in the same article, the next story was of a woman who was raped by a man. That man received 15 years because of rape. So right now in the law, in the law in the Bahamas, you can rape a child, but it's not called rape. It is called sexual assault, sexual molestation, or unlawful sexual intercourse, not rape. Children cannot consent to sex. Sex is for adults. No one had the authority to change the law to give children sex, but because we sit by as we normally do and say nothing and do nothing, these people are doing the most. There's absolutely no reason why you have to fight and agitate and demonstrate and sign petition to get laws to protect children. That shouldn't be. And if you cannot see now that this whole system is designed to take your children, then something is wrong with you. And you need to wake up. And you need to start speaking up. Use your social media to call attention to how many children are going missing on a regular basis. It is time for us to stop being silent. It's time to start calling out these pet predators that you elect for leaders. Stop giving predators power to rape your children. You understand? And whether it is a male adult raping a male child, the male adult is still a pedophile. We often get distracted and say, oh, because he's a homosexual. There are more cases in the Bahamas of daddies raping their daughters than there are of males raping males. Pedophilia has no face. A pedophile can desire a male or a female child. That's a pedophile. You don't say he's a homosexual. That's a pedophile. We need to get over and stop being distracted by two consenting adults choosing their sexual preferences, whatever. We gotta get over that. We use that to distract us from the pedophile who raping children. You all caught up, and angry because a man marrying a man and a woman marrying a woman. But you ain't saying nothing about the grown adult who's sleeping with children. You don't say nothing about that. There is not enough outcry about that. You should be angry that a grown male is sleeping with a child, be it a female child or a male child. That should cause you some rage. And it seems like it gets absolutely nothing. Because you all think, everybody think they more saved than the Most High, and they gotta be more angry about the sin of the sin of homosexuality more than the sin of incest, or more than the sin of grown people raping, having sex with children. We have to get our mind right. We gotta get our focus right. Because while you're being caught up on what two adults are doing, somewhere else, another adult is taking the innocence of a child and causing permanent damage to that child. That's why we have so many grown-ups, so many adults right now are damaged mentally and emotionally because of pedophilia. Some adults took their innocence and destroyed, or tried to destroy their minds. What we are seeing on the street today with a lot of people who are walking around with mental illness could be a direct result of pedophilia, sexual rape that they experienced as a child. Many grown adults have experienced it and still to this day have psychological problems. They probably able to function. You understand? But the effects of that act of a grown person taking your innocence, that's a scar for life. And we have to call it out. And I am doing this video because I want to encourage you to call out pedophilia. Call it for what it is. You understand me? Open your eyes to see the pedophilia. It could be your brother, your auntie, your cousin, your pastor, your priest, the doctor or the nurse. If they are a pedophile, call it out. Stop covering these things up. It's time for us to get serious about protecting children. And I start thinking, enough of us are. And while we are sitting down being distracted by foolishness, our children are being raped, sexually and mentally, raped of their innocence. And we have to put an end to it. And only us can do it. We have to demand of these, you go to elect these politicians, demand that they enact laws that's going to send a strong message that child rape is not accepted. It's time for these people who molest children to get life sentences. But we are more concerned about protecting the adults because it's normally someone we know and someone we call a leader, and all that's our priest and our pastor and our brother, our uncle. And so instead we turn our anger towards the child. Oh, you shouldn't do this, and what you doing, da 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 da. You are just as wicked as the pedophile, if that's your mindset. You're just as wicked as the pedophile. But I am calling it out, which is why I am calling this video, I'm labeling it, describe too many of our leaders are pedophiles. I'm calling out. I'm not being secret. I was a victim of pedophilia as a child. And so I have great issue with it. And this is why it triggers me every time I hear of a child that is being molested, being raped. It bothers me. Because we are not doing enough to protect children. But then we expect them to be grown, well-rounded adults, functioning adults. When as children you didn't take the time to protect them. We have to repent, we have to turn, we have to change. The Bible tells us not to be ignorant of the enemy's devices against us. And some of us are too relaxed. Like we just floating through the world. Like we don't realize what's going on. We have to change. Anyway, I hope this will encourage you to become more alert, to begin to speak out against pedophilia, to be on a guard with in fact, talk to your MP. You understand me? Let them know that you're not going to sit by and watch them reduce the age of consent to lower than 16 and stuff. Oh, sorry. We need to now demand that they put it back to where it was, because 18 is even too young. Because no one gave them permission to change it in the first place. So I hope this would have encouraged you to begin to stand up and speak up for child protection against rape. Too many of our children are being raped. And we have to stop standing by and allow the judiciary to feel some unclean sympathy for the predator instead of the child who was raped by an adult. We have to call it out. We have to take note of it, and we need to call it out. And I want to encourage you that you will begin to do it. Use your platforms, your social media platforms to begin to speak out against the child sex trafficking and the pedophilia. And don't be a blinded person, blind and deaf and mute, that when you begin to hear, and you have to be discerning, listening for any plans to further reduce the age of sexual consent to lower, we need to band together. And we need to cause it not to come to fruition. But it's going to take people coming together as one. And that seems to be our challenge. Anyway, It's very late. I'm fighting to keep my eyes open. So I just wanted to encourage you with that. Shalom.